Hey, what's up, Cooks and Cocks? Brad the Guitologist here. Last week's episode was demonetized, so this week I'm gonna try to fucking keep the motherfucking cursing to a minimum, and I'm gonna watch my P's and Q's, maybe, possibly, and not piss anybody off during this episode of Shitpost Friday. Okay, first up, the Shitpost Friday, I wanted to talk about the Pantera tribute. I know you guys are probably sick of it by now, but I haven't given my 2 cents on it. You know, some people are kind of being dickheads about it and saying that, oh, you can't have Pantera without Dime or without Vinny. But I think actually more people are on board with it. I've seen more people praising it than I have, slagging it off. But man, I'll tell you what, the video that I saw a couple of videos of their first concert in Mexico City, and man, it was just really fantastic. Those are hard vocals to pull off anyway, even for a young man. And when Phil Anselmo was much, much younger, he even had problems back in the 90s, singing a lot of that stuff and carrying off an entire concert's worth of Pantera songs. It's not an easy catalog of songs to pull off. Even if you tune down a full step or whatever, it's difficult, man. And what is Phil now? Is he like 50? He's in his mid-50s, so he's like 54 or something. He's like 10 years older than me, and dude just fucking ripped on it, man. I have to say, I was real happy for Phil, man. I don't know how they're gonna do, it, during a whole tour, because they have a lot of stuff scheduled, and I don't know if he's gonna be able to keep up the pace with his vocals, for an entire tour's worth of shows. But man, that first show was really great, I thought, and no problems for me whatsoever. I mean, Pantera, will always be about Dimebag Darrell's playing, and Vinnie Paul, you can't really do without Vinnie Paul's grooves back there on the drums. But man, the drummer they've got really pulled it off. I thought he did a great job. And, Zakk Wylde, while he's no Dimebag Darrell, I don't think he was trying to be. He wasn't trying to hit every solo note for note or anything like that. He was just doing his own thing and being himself and doing the songs justice, I thought. That was really cool to see. And Rex was kicking ass, man. And just the whole thing looked to me like it was pretty awesome. If and when they come close to me, which I think they're going to eventually. And at the end of 2023, I may have to pony up some cash and go see the remaining members of Pantera with Zach and Charlie back there on drums. And I can't say enough good things about it. Fucking rock and roll. Speaking of old metal bands and return to form, Metallica has a new album out, and they've released one song that I saw, Lux Eterna, and it just kind of popped up on my feed the other day out of the blue, and I was like, what the hell's this? The new Metallica song. So I listened to it, and yeah, man, I mean, a lot of people are correct in stating that it sounds a lot like some of their early stuff. It's got a lot of energy. Cool main riff. The lead work that Kirk came up with was pretty good. It's not up to par for some of their stuff, I would say, but it's definitely better than several of their late 90s and early 2000s albums. Any of the solos on any of that stuff, it was superior to a lot of that stuff. So, yeah, man, I was pleasantly surprised by Kirk's playing there. And, people have been also pleasantly surprised by Lars's drum track to the point where some people are accusing Lars of faking the drum track, which, I don't know. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. You can do a lot of things in a studio, but it has a lot of double bass. And I think that was the thing that people were like, wow, he's really pulling off that double bass like that. And they all sounded good on the track. The only complaint I would have is that it's a very short song. I think it only clocked in at about 3.5 minutes or something like that, which is Blitzkrieg kind of territory. As far as their 80s catalog, they really didn't have any songs that short except maybe Dyer's Eve. That was a pretty short song off of Injustice. That's about the shortest song I can think of for their 80s material. But, the Metallica I think that a lot of people like the most are the ones that, you have a really just this, breakdown in the middle with a symphonic kind of a bridge, and they kind of delve into different ideas and different riffs, and they go kind of exploring a little bit, and they have just really intricate arrangements where, you'll have one part of the song. It'll do maybe a part 2 times during this section, and then later on it'll do it 4 times, and then it'll do it like 2 times and then 4 times again and then 3 times or something, you know, especially on Injustice for All. They really, the arrangements of the way the riffs were laid out, there was a lot of thought that went into it back then. And, you know, for a 3.5 minute song, there's not a whole lot of thought that was put into the arrangement and stuff, you know, which I would have liked to have seen, but maybe there is some stuff like that on the album. But from what I heard, you know, I mean, it was better than some of their more recent offerings. I can say that. And James's vocals, you know, he doesn't do the yeah. He wasn't doing all that stuff, which is a plus. And he was hitting a pretty high note there, man. He was getting a good high scream, and it's got to be right at the top of his range. So, you know, he's going for it, man. And it kind of felt good. It was cool to see Metallica do that. In the world of guitar pedals, a couple of pieces of news I wanted to talk about. One is this story about this guitar pedal being launched into space.
We're about to send the first guitar pedal to space with this weather balloon, this orange parachute, and this Stratus attached to the front of this foam cooler. First guitar pedal to space in 3, 2, 1.
Chaos Audio is claiming to be the first effects firm to have sent a guitar pedal into space. The company's new multi-effects pedal Stratus lived up to its sky-high billing as it hitched a ride on a weather balloon. The launch took place at Panama City Beach and saw the pedal enter the stratosphere. I wonder what the lawsuit was like when it fell to Earth and killed some kid. That's not funny. I don't know why I laughed. Stunt was intended to draw attention to a product they considered out of this world and therefore worthy of a literal launch. Okay, well, I mean, I guess that's kind of cool. It's the Stratus. In other pedal news, I thought this one was kind of interesting. Let's see. This is called Floravolt is the name of the pedal. So this guy on Instagram, Mattoverse, is making these pedals called the Floravolt that is using a fruit or a vegetable to power the circuit. Okay, so the way that this works is you can use a couple of terminals. If you use one of them that's copper, one that's zinc, and you can use fruit juice or any kind of acid. Vegetables also, they contain acid in the juice, so you can stick it on top of the pedal, and you've basically set up a battery between an anode and a cathode, so electrons will flow. Now, there is, as for the question of how the thing is going to sound, well, I mean, you be the judge. Kind of sounds like shit. Or, you know what it sounds like? It actually sounds like somebody made a pedal powered by a piece of fruit. That's what it sounds like. As for the question of how much power you can actually get out of a piece of fruit, there is another video I would direct your attention to. This one where this girl actually went through and she labeled all of the different fruits that she could, you know, she'd used a bunch of different stuff and charted it all out. And basically, so a potato will give you about a 0.5 volt. An onion will give you about a 0.5 volt. Strawberries about a 0.5 volt, or a little bit above that. Eggplant, 0.58 volts. An orange, 0.45 volts. So everything here is really at a 0.5 volt or less. It looks like the thing that gives you the least power would be a tomato. But I'll leave the chart up here and you can check it out. So, you know, anybody who's wanting to try to get the most out of this pedal, I would suggest just getting a real pedal. I wouldn't look for this thing to be anything, you know, other than a novelty. But I mean, as a novelty, it's kind of cool. I'm not sure what he would be using as a circuit, because most of the circuits that I know of that are low powered circuits, I mean, they need at least about a 1.5 volts to run. So I don't know what's in the thing. Seems to me like it's just really underpowered. It sounds underpowered, and it kind of sounds like ass, but it might be something cool. If you collect pedals, it might be a must add to your collection. So anyway, there's that. So many times in the past on Shitpost Friday episodes, I have struggled with what to cover and what not to cover. And usually I try to avoid covering the things that are just like publicity stunts, and it's obvious that it's a publicity stunt. But this one I thought was kind of sort of interesting. You've got, and the only reason I want to highlight it is because I want to show you how this sort of thing is done. Okay, so Prince Harry and his wife Meghan Markle, they've got this Netflix special series or whatever coming up, and they've taken a lot of flack because they're very woke in the way that they behave and the things that they say publicly and all this. They've been outspoken critics of his family and the way that the royal families run and all this kind of stuff. And she, never misses a beat in accusing someone in the royal family of being racist. So fairly ridiculous to even give a shit. I think what these people say, what they do to follow their antics, I really couldn't give a crap less. But I thought this was kind of interesting because of the way that they used the guitar angle to try to get free PR and free publicity for this show. And that's exactly what this is. It's an attempt to get free publicity. So they've taken a clip of him playing a guitar chord, and you could see it here. I'll put it up on the screen. So the chord that he is making, it is basically going to be, it's like an A. See, what would you call this? This would be it's like an A minor with a diminished fifth, basically. A minor 7 with a diminished fifth. Right? Anyway, I don't know. I don't know exactly what you would call it, but that's kind of what it is. But it, on its own, it kind of sounds like crap. And I'll show you what I mean here. I'll play it on the guitar so you can hear it. That's the chord that he's making in that clip. So basically, if you take an A7, an A major 7, and you just drop those down half a step, that's the chord you end up with. But the thing is, in certain passages, that could be a really nice sounding chord. For instance, and it's also kind of related. So, you could use it kind of as a way to get from a C if you didn't want to use like a C. If you didn't want to do the whole C major to C minor, to go to that G, you could use this instead. So anyway, it's just kind of a way to get back to a G, when you're in that key. But like I said, the only reason I found that interesting is because it's always interesting to me to see how PR firms are able to garner free advertising for whatever it is they're trying to promote. And in this case, I guess it was fairly successful, at least in the guitar world, it was fairly successful. Okay, that'll do it for the news. Now I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I was watching YouTube a little earlier. I came across this Mary Spender video. I was doing a little bit of research on what some of the other channels were talking about, because I'm talking about the channels that do like a weekly thing, and there were only a couple that I could think of. There's like Ola England. There's a couple of others that do news stuff, and they kind of picked up after I quit Shitpost Friday, including Ola. He started the Sundays with Ola right after I stopped Shitpost Friday, so he basically was capitalizing on me leaving the market for news. So I watched one of his videos to see what he's kind of talking about and what he's been up to, because the news stuff to me is just, I haven't even paid any attention to it. And Mary Spender, she always did like a Tuesday Talks thing, so that was kind of her weekly thing. So I just thought I would check in and see what she was up to lately, because I haven't seen any of her videos for a long time either. And so this was her most recent video, and I just thought this was just about the dumbest thing I'd seen in quite a while. So she's doing this rundown of all these different, it's basically like a history of protest songs, kind of. And there's some good information in it, I suppose. But I just, it's not a single song is mentioned really recent. There's nothing recent that's mentioned, and everything that is mentioned is, as you would kind of expect, very, very predictable. You got the Vietnam War protest era songs, like Fortunate Son, and she talks a little bit about, she actually spends a lot of time on Pete Seeger and his protest songs and how they related to civil rights in the U.S. and all this kind. It's the same crap that anybody who's not from the U.S. usually talks about, or anybody who's on the left-hand political persuasion will usually talk about when it comes to American politics, right? Nothing surprising there. No mention whatsoever of some of the new protest songs, like the Eric Clapton protest song against the lockdowns, or the Van Morrison protest songs. He put out several, actually, in the past couple of years about the lockdowns, which I thought were pretty good. There's been several, too. In the rap community, actually, what's really interesting, the rap community has started to really do a lot of protest type stuff against the current regime. You can look at Bryson Gray. Some of his output I've thought was kind of interesting. Like he did one track called "Let's Go Brandon," which was pretty funny. But if you actually listen past the title, he talks about some pretty cool stuff. Some actual real issues. But she goes into the Childish Gambino and how important his song was, and how important all. That's about the latest thing I think she mentioned, was the Childish Gambino song, where he basically, in the groundbreaking video, I think she called it groundbreaking. She didn't really mention the part where he, is promoting that kind of violence. Is that really what qualifies now as brave? I don't see any of this stuff as being brave at all. I'll tell you, what was brave is the stuff that Van Morrison and Eric Clapton put out, because it alienated the powerful. The people who were in charge, who hold the purse strings for their careers. They were alienating those people. They were, giving them the finger. That is brave. That takes balls. The stuff that these other people are doing doesn't take any balls, because everybody is on board with that crap. At some point, you got to grow up. At some point, you've got to open your eyes, and you got to realize, okay, who are the people who actually hold power? And if you're going to be a quote-unquote revolutionary, and if you're going to say something revolutionary or do something revolutionary, which that's funny, because I when I downloaded her video to play a little bit of it for you guys, I noticed that the original title of it was "Let's Start a Revolution." And you wouldn't know that until you went to download the actual file. But it's "Let's Start a Revolution." So Mary Spender is over here starting a revolution. A revolution to what? To the status quo? I'm seriously. You think this is revolutionary? You think any of this stuff is revolutionary? And, what's funny is, like, a lot of the stuff she mentioned too, like Bruce Springsteen, like how revolutionary Born in the USA was, and how everybody mistook it as a nationalistic song, but it couldn't have been anything further from the truth, that he was actually criticizing, treatment of soldiers that came back from the war and stuff. Bruce Springsteen is he's about one of the most idiotic, woke, just serial leftists that you're going to find. I haven't listened to any of the guy's crap in years, and I wouldn't now, knowing some of the stuff that he's said. And it's really sad. You know, I didn't used to be this way. I didn't used to divide up my record collection and catalog based on who held beliefs like mine, but it's hard to even listen to some of this stuff anymore, knowing how far from the truth some of these people have strayed. You know, like Crosby, Stills, and Nash. You know, Four Dead in Ohio. I made a video, I guess it was about a year and a half ago, about how Neil Young was quitting Spotify. It took all of his stuff off of Spotify because of something that Joe Rogan said, which was just absolutely ridiculous. And again, it was just virtue signaling nonsense by an uber leftist who was not being brave in any manner whatsoever. You know, he's virtue signaling, and he thinks he's going to win points that way. He thinks that the people who listen to his music are going to applaud him and praise him and fawn over him. And that's why I did it, you know, and that's why Joni Mitchell, she followed suit and did the same thing, pulled her stuff off Spotify. They're probably even back up by now. If I had to look, I would guess that they probably are, but I haven't looked. But, you know, it's just that kind of stuff, man. It just irks me, and it just drives me away from even caring, you know, about a lot of music when you see this stuff. Back on the subject of Metallica, you know, I mean, there have been several interviews that I've heard James Hetfield give where it sounded like, man, you know what, James Hetfield, he moved out of San Francisco because he said, you know, I didn't want to be a part of that nonsense anymore.
Where do you live these days? I live in Vail, Colorado. Kind of got sick of the Bay Area, the attitudes of people there. You know, they talk about how diverse they are and things like that. And, you know, it's fine if you're diverse like them. Showing up with a deer on the bumper doesn't fly in Marin County, you know. My form of eating organic doesn't vibe with theirs, you know. I felt that there was an elitist attitude there, that if you weren't their way politically, their way, environmentally, all of that, you were looked down upon.
That was basically his coded way of saying, I'm not down with all this climate change agenda crap. I'm not down with the anti-gun crowd. You know, I had to get the hell out of there. That was his way of saying that. And, you know, by doing so, he probably alienated at least one of the guys in his band, Kirk Hammett, who's all about all that stuff. He is just, you know, Kirk Hammett is pretty woke from some of the stuff that I've seen him say. When he did open up about politics, he's pretty far left. But, you know, I mean, at least there's a balance in that band, and they've managed to keep it together, and they've made it about the music, and that's great for them. You know, saying some things every now and then, but keeping it about the music, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever, as far as I'm concerned. But when you've got these posers, just utter posers, like Rage Against the Machine, which was another band that Mary Spender mentioned in her revolutionary video there.
A song can become a potent symbol of resistance, of change, and galvanize people into action. Music and politics have always gone hand in hand. A song can make you take a moment to consider the big issues we're living through. It can mobilize people and turn pain and anger into action. Protest music can make people stand up and say, enough is enough.
You know, those are the biggest bunch of posers on planet Earth. You know, they charge like $500-600 a pop for concert ticket seats, and then they go and talk about the virtues of communism. Arm the homeless. You know, let's give the homeless AK-47s. You know, fuck off. Fuck off. It's passé to me. I'm way over it. Way over it. But anyway, I thought that was interesting. You know, it's just funny to see somebody like Mary Spender talk about being a revolutionary. I had to kind of laugh at that. Not that I dislike Mary Spender or that she's ever said anything other than this that kind of drew my ire or anything like that. You know, I mean, she's fairly harmless, but it was funny to see that video, and then, you know, just to realize that every single mention, it's all of the people in that video were far leftists. Tell me what you think. I mean, am I being nitpicky on this, or is this something that was Do you see it too? I mean, go watch her video, go check it out and see for yourself. And I don't know, maybe you'll love it. But to me, it was just too one-sided, and it's LARPing, right? To me, it just felt like, we're gonna start a revolution. No, you're not. Okay, I filmed this viewer mail segment last week and didn't have time to get to it, so let's go ahead and open some viewer mail. All right, first up in viewer mail, I've got a record that was sent to me by Matthew and Doris of Dream Machine. Actually, they sent more than just one record. They've sent a very cool old 7-inch from Matthew's previous band, Warm Soda, which is really cool of him. And he just sent this, man. This was, I told him a while back, I think we did a sort of a deal when I was servicing his guitar that he used on this record. I said, hey, just, send me a copy of your album when it comes out, man. And, I think I gave him kind of a deal on a little bit of work there. So this is a fantastic album, man. I can't encourage you guys enough to go check this album out. He's got the whole album up on their Bandcamp website and also on Matthew and Doris's YouTube channel. I'll link that down below if you want to go check that out, or up here in a card or something. Definitely, please go check that out. At least check out the album online. If not, pick up a copy in CD form or in LP form from Fuzz City Records, which is their own label, independent label. They've made several music videos for some of the tracks on this album, and definitely encourage you to go check those out. Some of them are pretty cool, very creative, very well made. Can't say enough good things about Matthew and Doris, man. They, speaking of musicians who stand up for sanity, I mean, these guys are just really smart people. And they have also been the victims, of the cancel culture BS that we've all had to endure. And it looks like they also sent me a poster too. And there's a poster also included inside with the record. You get a free poster here of Dream Machine. There's Matthew and Doris with their Tascam machine that they've recorded all their albums on. Some interesting artwork here. I recognize that. Very cool splatter vinyl. That's awesome. Very cool, man. Thank you guys once again. And they also sent me a personalized autograph poster here. Brad, you are a solid soul indeed, a resilient badass, undoubtedly. Thanks for everything. Great to know you, Matthew and Doris. Yeah, thanks you guys. I appreciate that very much. It's good to know you too. Definitely two of my favorite fellow YouTubers. This next package looks like it came from Worcester, Massachusetts. Oh, there's a 12AX7 apparently in here. Browning, made in the USA, 12AX7. Interesting. This is definitely because of the yellow paint and the way it's made. It says made in the USA up there. That's a Sylvania. What do we have here? Oh, Tone Priest. Right on. Okay. Yeah, cool, man. I appreciate that. That looks awesome. I like that. Hell yeah. Red hot indeed. I've got some books, man, with old pinup art, from the 40s and 50s and stuff. And I love old pinups, man. She's riding an old RCA tube. The latent sexist in me is all over that one. I think he said he was going to send me some kind of rare tube. And this was probably it. Yep, okay. Yeah, all right. This is an 815. Look at it. It looks like a little robot with antenna ears or something. An RCA Radiotron number 815. And is this a dual? I think this is a dual pentode. or tetrode tube. So it's got like basically the equivalent of, I think, now don't quote me on this, but I think this is like the equivalent of two 6v6s or something under the same envelope. Something to that effect. Now I have to look it up again. Maybe I'm wrong. But that is cool. An 815. You just don't see this kind of stuff much anymore. Probably never did see it very much. But there's that, an old RCA tube. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. This is cool. He sent me a Tone Priest mug. And some caps for this tube. So these caps right here are the ones that will go on the top of that tube. Got some domino capacitors here. And some little small electrolytics, maybe it looks like. 0.056 microfarads, and it's a old Cornell Dublier signal cap or coupling cap. There's several of those in there. There's some fuses. Looks like some picks and some other stuff in there too, man. Awesome, man. Thanks for the parts. Thanks for the mug. Thanks for the tubes. The very cool tubes. And thanks for that awesome t-shirt. Thanks to Tone Priest, man. I'm pretty sure he has a YouTube channel as well. I'll put a link down below where you can check that out. Okay, this is from Jim LaSalle. I guess that's how you pronounce that, Jim. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. But he has this business called ZFG, Mediocrity Redefined. What he does is he does beard products. I actually do have a beard this week, so my beard kind of comes and goes. You guys probably know this if you watch the channel for a while. It's like one week I'll be bearded and the next I'll be clean shaven. But he's got me some stickers here. Those will go somewhere, probably on my workbench. There's a cool little burned wooden pog or whatever you want to call it. Pretty cool. It's not quite big enough to be a coaster, or is it? Yeah, it might be. Beard balm. This stuff smells amazing. God, I wish you could smell this. So what is this? This is shea butter, beeswax, argan oil. That stuff is the shampoo that I use. This argan oil shampoo uses that same stuff, and it's the best damn shampoo. It leaves your hair like not oily at all. It's just, but just really supple feeling. Beard balm. I'm gonna have to read up on how to apply that and stuff because I have just no idea. So, but here is his information if you want to check him out. This is his small business from Greensboro, North Carolina. Definitely go check out his website. Okay, so here's some beard oil. This is my wife said no. What? I gotta open this and smell it. Let's see. This is on some kind of dropper applicator here, right? Yeah. I've got to smell this stuff. I bet it smells amazing. Oh my gosh! It smells like a saddle shop or something almost. Cedar wood and sweet orange. Yeah. It's just I don't know. It's hard to describe. Cedar wood and sweet orange. Man, it smells amazing. My God. I don't know how I feel about oiling my beard, though. Never tried it. Never tried doing it. Never even thought about doing it. Maybe this is something that all the kids are doing now, like with their beards. You know, I do notice some people with very well manicured beards, man, these days, who they have these just really shiny, too. And maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they're oiling their beards. Oh my God, that one smells probably even better than the last one. That smells amazing. I think I might have to try this. What does that say? Meadow foam seed oil, daikon seed oil, argan oil, essential oil blend, fir, pine, cedar wood, and sweet orange again. I think this one's actually smells even better than that last one. What do we have here? Maybe some soap. Yeah, pine tar soap. This is probably the best smelling box that I've ever received from anybody. Man, that smells awesome. Oh my God. Oh my God, that smells awesome. Making me want to take a shower. Beard wash. Sweet. What I usually do in the shower is I will wash my beard with like shampoo, because it's the you know, especially when my beard gets kind of long, I'll start washing it with shampoo. He's also sent me some body lotion. Cool, sweet lemon. Let's smell this too. Oh man, that smells awesome. In the winter time, I use lotion on my hands a lot because you'll notice they get very cracked, especially on the back. So I will definitely use this lotion up on my hands. One thing you got to do with your hands, man, is to care for them. Is if you wash dishes like I do in the sink, don't use a ton of dishwashing liquid on the backs of your hands. You know, maybe if you wash your hands, try not to wash the back of your hands so much, but wash the front of your hands and maybe the back so you're up to the knuckle. But if you wash all this a lot, it just strips all the oils out of it, especially in the winter time. For me, it does. But man, thank you so much. ZFG Beard Care Products. Check him out. Small business. He is the little guy. Definitely give him some support and tell him I sent you. Tell him I said thank you. Okay, this is going to be a hard one to get all in one shot, but we'll try. So this was sent to me by Gary Bartkus, who is the fellow who owned that last Gibson amplifier that I did. I will put up pictures on the screen. You can see that amplifier all back together, and I'll put up a link up here if you want to go see the amplifier being restored and also modded. But he sent me this. He was like, hey man, I've got these I want to send you, and I guess it was kind of as a thank you too for me taking in the work on his Gibson. But these are out of an old Hammond, or excuse me, a Leslie. So he had a couple of Leslie cabinets. I think one that was for parts, and the other one, I think he said he had two. One he was using. I can't remember actually the details without going back and looking at it, but I might be wrong. Might be wrong on this, but he has sent me two chassis out of Leslie units. Do they both have? Yeah, they both have all the cables and stuff coming off them. They might even both still work. I'll have to look up the tube complement and stuff on these too and see what we can do with these chassis. So these are reverb drivers, I believe. Both of these. And they're tube. They are on printed circuit boards, but that's not the end of the world. We may be able to make something cool out of these. It looks like maybe we've got enough tubes here that something cool might be built into this. Looks like we got an output transformer here. We've got a low power transformer. There's our cap can. We've got a fuse already in it. So this is where it hooks up to the rest of the Leslie unit. These might actually make cool little amplifiers. I don't know. I'm gonna have to research it and look into it a little bit more. They've got these cool little hammer toned finishes on them, and there's enough space by the look of it where if I wanted to mount these in a cabinet, I could have this hammer tone faceplate on a small amplifier, and I could definitely get a couple of controls either on this side, probably on this side though, come off of this side right here with that hammer tone finish, and have some controls over here, you know, volume or tone and an input. This might be actually some really cool projects that we get into in the future, but you know, I've got a long line of really cool projects that we're going to get into in the future. Definitely, if you haven't subscribed already, do that. And we're going to be doing some different things again going forward. In addition to doing more of these Shitpost Fridays, you know, I'm going to get back into doing some of my own stuff and doing just more random videos. What do we have here? With volume control on the keyboard full, what does it say? With the volume on control on the keyboard full on, adjust for the lowest hum. Okay, that's a hum balance. So this is a different chassis, a 12SQ7 tube. We've got 20 microfarads at 150 volts there. I'm not sure what this would have been for. I don't know. Is this some little... I'll have to look and see what this is, what I could use this for. This might make a good output transformer, depending. I'll just have to see. Like I said, another one for the future. I've had a lot of cool trash finds lately, but this one right here is probably the coolest of the lot, of the recent trash finds. Found this in the trash. This was actually in the neighbor's trash on the street behind my house, another street over. This is a Univox acoustic. It's missing the bridge, missing the nut, but the neck is fairly straight. Don't know if you can see it or not. The neck is fairly straight. And I think we're going to be able to get this thing back up and going. It's got a lot of bellying though. Right there where the bridge was. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it very well, but right there where the bridge was, there's a massive hump right here. And it looks like there may have been, I don't know, maybe a different style of bridge right here where they had one of those adjustable pieces on the bridge, or somebody stuck something under the bridge to try to cock it backwards, and it just left an indentation there. So what I'm going to have to do here is put I have some bridge cauls that I can put on here and basically, and underneath, and I can try to flatten that back out, but I may have to take the bridge plate out. When I feel up inside of it, I don't feel the bridge plate is cracked. It doesn't seem like it's cracked. I may be wrong on that. I'd have to get some inspection pictures and stuff. But this will be one that we can definitely restore at some point. But it's going to take some surgery to get this one going. But you know, cool for finding it in the trash. And why not? It's from the 70s. Univox, whatever the model is there, I don't know. Made in Japan. Could be a fun one. All right, guys, that'll do it for this Shitpost Friday. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, hit subscribe down below. Also, because last week was demonetized, I'm going to start promoting my Rumble page. I make no money over on Rumble. I have all of my videos over on Rumble. If you want to go check those out, I'll put a link down in the description, or if I can put a card up here to Rumble, I will. Because if this keeps happening, if I keep getting demonetized over stupid stuff, I am going to start posting somewhere else. I did see where Elon Musk said that he may start competing directly with YouTube by opening up longer form videos on Twitter. So, and if that does happen, I will strongly consider starting to post over on Twitter. Follow me on Rumble. I'll put links down in the description. And for now, we will see y'all later.